Cassius, Jedi Redeemed. Chapter 18.
Okay, Pip. He'll be here any second.
Well, he better. My joints are frozen.
Cassius walked through the mouth of the cave over to the nebulous and set down the bag of provisions before opening the ramp to the ship and stepping inside. He had hardly removed his coat when he was greeted by Liara and Pip, who were both holding two small boxes.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Cassius smiled and looked at the two of them. What's the occasion?
What do you mean? It's your birthday, isn't it?
Close. 3 months off. Liara groaned.
Pip! You said it was his birthday.
I could have sworn it was.
Cassius chuckled. Regardless. Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah. Well, no sense wasting dessert, right?
Liara opened the box and held up a small decorative pastry. Cassius grinned and nodded as they sat and divided it into 2 equal parts for both of them. As they ate, Cassius closed his eyes and sighed.
Are you okay, Cassius?
I'm okay. Just, it helps to take a moment to appreciate the small things. Liara chuckled.
Like Pip?
I heard that.
Cassius shared a small laugh as he started to fidget with his fork. In all seriousness, days like these are harder to come by. When you can learn to quiet your mind and appreciate all the little things that make life worth living, you'll come to realize how lucky we are to have what we do. Always remember, be grateful for the good things you have, Liara.
Is that some Jedi proverb?
Cassius smiled. That's advice from me to you. Liara nodded with a smile on her face as she stood and put on her coat.
My turn to take watch. Pip and I got you something. Right there in the box. Happy super early birthday, Master.
Cassius let out a small laugh as Liara stepped off the ramp, leaving Cassius staring at the box. He would wait to open it. It would be more special if he did. He would never get around to it. On a distant world, far from civilization, Cassius walked, his mind in an aimless wander as he crossed a landscape seemingly comprised of nothing. For days he walked. Nothing but flat land as far as the eye could see. For 3 days, he had been walking a straight line, a singular road to nowhere. The heat was immense, the dry air causing his skin to bake. He walked and walked and walked. By the time the sun went down, Cassius could physically walk no longer and collapsed to the dirt. All he could think about was Liara. How he failed her. He thought of Kala on Dantooine. He promised her that no harm would come to Liara. How could he live with himself, knowing that Liara was now in the clutches of Vader? Some master he turned out to be. He was nothing but a danger to his allies, to his friends, to Liara. He thought back to Order 66. If he had died that night, Liara would be safe, hidden away from the Empire. That's what he told himself. But he knew it was futile to think about it. Nearly 20 years removed from that awful day, and by some miracle he was still here. He was tired. Every part of his body was sore. He felt as though he had aged 50 years in the past few days. With his cheek flat on the dirt, he stared ahead at the empty horizon. So barren, so fruitless. What a fitting place, he thought, to spend the rest of his days. However short that time may be. The sweat from his forehead dripped onto the sand and disappeared to nothing as Cassius slowly shut his eyes. Back on Yavin, Gaidam was doing everything he could to locate Cassius, searching for any clue as to where he could have gone. Damn it, Cassius, where are you? Just let him go, Gaidam. You heard him. He did his part. Bendel, we can't just let him go after all that. If you're right and Liara is alive, we need Cassius to save her. How do you propose we do that exactly? If you weren't listening to what I told you, Liara is working with the Empire now. There has to be a reason. Liara wouldn't turn on the rebellion like this. Of course she wouldn't. Not willingly. I saw her eyes. Just empty. Soulless. They didn't convert her. They broke her. Then you see why we need Cassius. With his help, I know we can bring you Jedi in your optimism. She's under Vader's command. You remember him, right? Vader? The guy who wiped your kind off the galaxy? Don't step out of line, Tyron. I know damn well who he is. That's not reason enough for me to abandon her. If Cassius were here, he'd say the same thing. Well, Cassius ain't here, is he? And if he was, do you think he'd be in on this? Going after the man who's been hunting him for years? Face it, he's done. He made his choice. Bendel turned away and continued to enter codes into the holomap. But Gaidom could sense his pain. I know you care about her, Bendel. We won't give up on her. We can't. Bendel said nothing, but sighed and walked off to the hangar. All the while, Pip sat nearby, fumbling with his wrench. Pip, you holding up?
I can't believe she's alive. If you had told me this last week, I would have blown a circuit, but... The Empire?
We'll find a way to get to her, Pip. I promise.
How?
Gaidom sighed and looked at the nav computer. I don't know. But we need to find Cassius. He can't stay out of this.
What if we can't?
We'll find him, Pip. We found him before. We can...
Not that. What if we can't bring Liara back?
Don't think like that, Pip. Please. In the endless deserts of a distant world, two short, pudgy creatures walked under the hot sun, dragging behind them a metal sled carrying canisters and old ship parts. As they bickered and bantered, one of them noticed something and began snorting and frantically pointing to an odd shape on the horizon. The other little scavenger adjusted his thick goggles as they hauled their sled over and inspected it. A humanoid. Poking the man, they saw his face muscles twitch as a slow groan escaped his lips. Whoever this man was, they could maybe get some reward from him if they saved him. Bantering back and forth, they hauled the weary, sun-baked man onto their metal sled and dragged him far into the horizon. Cassius awoke to the sound of water. His cracked lips and parched throat singed him as he slowly lifted his head and saw a small, old, ape-like creature pouring water from a canister onto a cloth.
You're awake.
Cassius groaned as the creature took the cloth and placed it on his forehead. It was soothed and refreshing.
I am Uga. You?
Cassius stayed quiet.
No name?
Cassius didn't respond as Uga handed him a canister of water, which he quickly grabbed and drank.
Then I call you Bufa. Welcome to Abifar.
Cassius coughed as spilt water dripped down his beard. What's Abifar?
Oh, you speak. Abifar is here. There. Everywhere is Abifar.
Cassius looked out the window and saw not desert, but a street with a few people strolling by. A spaceport?
Spaceport? No. Spaceport have visitors. Abifar no have. Abifar have workers.
Cassius slowly stood, his sun-baked skin stinging as he got a closer look out the window. It was very desolate. Not even half the size of a standard spaceport. How did I get here?
Bufa ask a lot of questions. Tiki and Zip bring you. Find you in the wastelands.
Cassius looked at his belt and saw his lightsaber was still there. It didn't seem like anything had been stolen. Where's the closest spaceport?
No find. Abifar closest option.
What about the Empire?
Empire no here. Bufa stop with the talk now. You start work today.
Cassius raised an eyebrow. Work? I don't need a job. I need to be alone.
You not survive alone. You dry up like prune in desert. You work, I let you stay in room.
Cassius sighed as he sat and his head hit the pillow, and he stared up at the ceiling. For the first time in so long, he was directionless. He had no path, no goal, nothing. On board the Executor, Liara's head hit the floor as Vader dropped her, gasping and coughing.
You have allowed your compassion to weaken you. Now he has managed to evade us once again.
Forgive me, Master. I can fix this.
Liara slowed her breathing and stood.
How do you intend to rectify this failure?
When I interrogated the captain of the Arabella, I found something. I know how to draw his allies out of hiding. When I draw them out, he will follow. It may take time. I'll need resources.
Vader slowly towered over his assassin as she quivered in fear.
Go. Should you fail again, I will not be so merciful.
Yes, my master.